Hello everyone! Today we are going to be creating this veggie tote bag. The first thing that we need to do is get our vegetable design onto our canvas bags. I started by taking a printout of my design and putting it on a piece of cardboard. Then I took a thick embroidery needle and pressed it into the eraser of a pencil. I then took that needle and made little dots around the outside outlines of each vegetable. You want to make sure that your needle is going all the way through the paper, because later on we're going to take a marker and trace over all of these holes to transfer our design onto the bag. Once you are finished with that step, you should be able to flip over the paper and see your design recreated in the little needle holes. Next, I took my design, centered it on my tote bag, and used washi tape to tape down the edges. Then I took a Sharpie and traced around each of the vegetable outlines. It's important that your Sharpie makes it into each of the needle holes to fully transfer your design. Once I was done tracing the outlines, I peeled off the washi tape and removed my design to see the dots on my canvas bag. Next, I took a pencil and connected the dots to create clearer outlines. It is important that you have the printed out design laid next to you as you do this. The dots will show you the placement of each vegetable, but the printed out design will show you all of the details. Once our outline is done, it is time to mix up our paints. For this project, we will be using a color palette made up of 6 different colors: pink, red, orange, light green, dark green, and white. We will have to mix all of our acrylic paints with a fabric medium to make sure that they stick to our tote bags. Here you can see me mixing our different colors of paint with the fabric medium using a ratio of 2:1. 1 part paint to 2 parts medium. Once you have all 6 paints mixed up, it's time to start blocking in some color on our tote bag. Before I started painting, I took a piece of cardboard and wrapped it in wax paper. Then I inserted it into the tote bag so that my paint won't go through and stick to the other side of the bag. Using a small brush, I started with the light green and filled in the stems and the peas at the top of the design. It's always best to work from top to bottom so that you don't accidentally mess up or smudge something that you've already painted. Next, I took my red, pink, and orange paints and used them to fill in the tomatoes and carrots at the top of the design. Also, I realized that the pea at the very top should have been painted in dark green, so throughout the video you'll see me going back in to correct that and make it darker. Using the same 3 colors, I then went in and filled in all of the different tomatoes, making sure to leave the stems blank. Then I took my light green paint and filled in the stems of the tomato plant. Fabric paint is definitely more finicky than regular acrylic paint, so you want to be very careful when you're doing this part. I stuck with my light green to fill in the stems of the beet and also the pea right next to it. Then I took my dark green and filled in the leaves of the radish and the beet. Now I am taking my red paint and filling in the body of the beet. Once I have that done, I'm going to take my pink and white paints and use them to fill in the radish. Now I'm going to use the red paint to fill in this slice of tomato. Then I'm going to take my light green and use it to fill in 3 of the remaining peas as well as the pea pods. On the bottom pea pod, I'm only going to use the light green on the outside edges. Then I'm going to use my orange and my light green to fill in the last tomato. Using my dark green, I am going to fill in the inside of the bottom pea pod as well as the remaining peas. Once that is done, I'm going to set my bag aside to dry for at least 1 hour. Then it is time to go back in and do the details. Using my pink paint and an even smaller brush, I followed my printout to create the design on my beet. Then, using the pink and red paints, I painted the designs on the sliced tomatoes. Next, I took the red paint and added striations to the carrots. Now I am using my light green paint to paint 4 of the peas in the bottom pea pod. Using my pink and orange paints, I am painting concentric circles on this red tomato. Next, I am going to take my dark green paint and outline the leaves on the carrot. Then I'm going to follow those outlines to create a pattern on the leaves. Now I am taking my light green and going over some of the peas again. Then I'm going to outline the leaves on my radish and follow those outlines to create a pattern on the leaves. The light green paint will need multiple layers, especially when it's on top of a layer of dark green. Throughout painting this bag, I went back in and repainted the light green areas multiple times. But I do not show myself painting those layers on camera most of the time, so I just wanted to clear things up. Now I am going into the light green and painting concentric circles for the 5th pea in the bottom pea pod. I am then repeating that concentric circle design on all of the peas that were originally painted dark green. Next, I used my dark green paint to add more definition to the pea pods. Now I am taking my white paint and the brush that I used for painting the first layer and adding highlights to all of the vegetables. I am also giving each of the sliced tomatoes some seeds. Next, using my orange paint and a really small brush, I am painting my initials. Then we are done with the painting process. After letting the paint dry for 24 hours, it is time to heat set the design. So I have my iron on the highest setting that it will go without steam. I am placing a pressing cloth over the design. Then I'm going to take my iron and hold it down for 10 seconds at a time, pressing straight down and lifting straight up. Once each part of the design has been pressed, I'm going to take my iron and run it over the whole thing one more time. Then, carefully, I'm going to hold down my bag and peel off my pressing cloth to reveal my heat-set design. Now your tote bag is ready to be used. Make sure to turn it inside out before washing it. Thanks for watching!